Hello, everybody. It's The Worm, and I'm back with Raging Loop. And I am upset. I am very upset right now. Because earlier today, I was getting ready to do this thing. I was ready to get down into the nitty gritty and try to have, make some thoughts on Raging Loop because, last time it was very exciting and so much was dropped on us and I was really interested. And so I sat down, decided to, go over what had happened and take some notes. And so I opened up good old trusty Microsoft Word and wouldn't you know, I get an error message and it says, hey, there's a problem. You need to repair it or close it. And I go, okay, I don't know why this is happening. Interestingly enough, this is not the first time I've gotten this message. So I was able to refer back to what I did previously and, go into the list of programs and try to repair it. I did the offline repair, then I did the online repair, and both of those options just made me sit around for half an hour to an hour, but, nothing happened, and, so then, I tried to see, was everything up to date? Is Windows updated? Is the Microsoft Office updated? What do I need to do? Let me try to find these obscure fixes. Let me see if all this da-da-da-da-da-da. And nothing seemed to work. And, to be perfectly frank with you all, I could have just played the game. But, I was kind of... the program pissed me off, okay? And I'm gonna need to use it eventually anyway, so I need to fix this dang thing. And so I get to... I just get to a point where I say, okay, let me start afresh. Let me, close everything and restart my computer, and then let's start from there. So I restart the computer. I open up Microsoft Word, and then nothing happens. What I mean by that is there's no error message. It doesn't close automatically. It seems to be working just fine. So I seem to have been defeated by what might have been one of the simpler options I could have done, which is just turn your computer off and on again. So I really wanted to come into this with a positive attitude and feeling excited, but after having wasted around 2 hours, I'm just a bit upset, really. But I guess I should feel okay. I mean, I fixed the issue somehow. I mean, I think I've talked about this before. It's just one of those things where with technology where you could be just doing the same thing you always do, and then something breaks for no discernible reason, and then I don't know, I think it's partially why I'm so paranoid with technology and computers. I love using them, but man, I get really nervous if something just breaks or stops working. Anyway, let's move on. Let's get excited again. Let's get pumped up because oh boy, that last ending. How do I even describe it? I'm not sure I can adequately describe what happened last time. We got let me see if I could find it here in our gallery. Should be in here, right? Yeah. This happened last time. Something out of a, I think Haruaki summed it up pretty good. Is wasn't the story supposed to be just about werewolves and in a village? What's this apocalyptic nonsense going on here? We stepped out of a conventional horror film or game and walked into a Lovecraftian one really quickly. So that was quite something. the feelings that I was experiencing was a bit complicated at the time. I believe I wrote it as something like it was. Oh, I could probably find it. What did I say? Yes, it was. I felt horrified and vindicated at the same time. And that was a very strange feeling to deal with. And why did I have this strange, conflicting feeling? Well, I think you may have seen it. But in that episode last time, Haruaki, for the first half of the episode, it looked like the game was going in a certain direction. Haruaki said, it was actually just another personality that Haru had. It wasn't actually a god, and Mochi seemed to confirm that, and Haruaki was justifying all that to himself, and I was kind of sitting there going, okay, I guess the game's going in the direction of it being a mundane thing, and now I've got to look back and try to figure out all the ways I can explain everything in a mundane way and not a supernatural way. And, I was just kind of... Because I was kind of banking on the supernatural here. And so... I think the first moment was when we heard the gods speak through Mako, and I laughed. I laughed at it, even though that should have been a scary moment. And then... A similar thing happened with the reveal of that creature, where it was just where it's, on the one hand, okay, it's the apocalypse, but on the other hand, take that, Haruaki, explain your way out of this one. just try it. I want to see you try. So it was a weird feeling. So that was kind of fun. That was definitely that was a high point of my playthrough, I gotta say. So let's get into the nitty-gritty. Let's actually try to talk about what was said, because a lot was said in a relatively short amount of time, and I want to try and figure it out. So if you're willing to deal with me for a little while longer, let's try to do this. First things first, a couple people have told me, or they have suggested to me, that Haruaki's kill of Mochi might have been fair game. And by that I mean, recall that I was worried that, oh hey, aren't they killing during the day? Isn't that a corruption offense? Well, no, because technically speaking, that could have been a kill from the feast. That is to say, during our various routes here, the common way things have gone is we would all sit down, we would all vote on who we hang, and then we kill them. But that doesn't necessarily have to be the way they do things. Remember, it's the people of the village who decide to democratically vote who to kill. And so they could have decided anything, really, if, and in this instance, Haruaki and Mochi decided to do rock, paper, or scissors, or rock, paper, shotgun in this situation. So I think that makes sense, and I think I'm okay with believing that. So in this instance, Mochi's death would have counted as the execution of the day, or the hanging, even though it wasn't technically a hanging. And then presumably he would have killed Rokako in the following night. But we, of course, didn't get that far. Okay, now, I'm going to get to my notes. Let me pull them up here, because there's a lot here. Okay, so, I want you guys you can fact check me here. Fact check me. Sorry, I don't know why I tripped over that. Because we need to get pretty careful with how I'm wording this, because I'm trying to follow along with what the game said. Okay, so first of all, let me just do something real that's interesting. Okay. Anyway. Okay. First things first. Now, I want to specify something. This monster... Now, note that I'm saying monster here. We do not know what this entity is. It was not specified. It was just referred to as a monster by Haruaki and the sheep. So that's one mystery here, is what is this monster? Is it one of the three gods? Is it Shinai-sama? Is it one of the other two that the god in Haru was talking about? Or is it something like Okami-sama? Or is it something like a monster from Yomi? Or is it something else? We're not sure. I'm not sure. So that's something we need to keep in mind. And this monster woke up and supposedly destroys the country. Interesting that it was the sheep specified that. It's not like it destroyed the world, it was just destroyed the country, but maybe that's just... maybe it will destroy the world over time, you know. It was kept pretty vague what was going on there at the end. And this monster woke up and destroyed the country in this darkness route, with Haruaki winning as the wolf. Okay? And I want to... So here's another mystery I want to pose here. Do you think the monster would have woken up at the end of Yomi route? Because this was another wolf victory. Because the reason why I'm asking this question, because what I'm curious is it just the wolves winning that awakens the monster, or does it have to do with Haruaki's actions specifically taken while he was a wolf in this route here? So that is all to say, I'm not sure we specifically know what was the actual cause of the monster awakening. Yeah, so that's another... So, Mystery 1, what is the monster? Mystery 2, what wakes up the monster? Okay. Now, here's another huge mystery. It's this idea of a dreamer. Okay, now there's a lot to this, so let's try and... This whole dream and the sheep, it's all kind of bound up together, so let me back up for a second. So, before I talk about the dreamer, I want to talk about the sheep. Because I think I need to, just for it to make sense, I need to go over it this way. So, the sheep is responsible for Haruaki... No, I need to back up further. I can't talk about the sheep yet. Okay. We are in a dream. Let's start there. We are in a dream that is looping. Okay? Now, according to the sheep, this dream was... the sheep found this dream because a part of... Quote, this is... Quote, a part of reality was put inside a dream. That's how the sheep found it. I don't understand what that means, but that's all we have to go on right now. And once in this dream, the sheep was able to notice that it was just looping over and over again. And this is, crucially, this is before Haruaki showed up. So, and this is, I'm having trouble understanding this. Maybe you guys will be able to clear this up for me. So, the sheep found the dream. Dream was looping, presumably endlessly. Then an outsider, that being Haruaki, showed up and somehow found his way into the dream. And once that occurred, Haruaki, with the aid of the sheep, although he didn't know it, was able to keep his memories between the loops and began changing things around. Now, interestingly... Oh, do I even talk about this yet? Okay, hang on. Okay, yeah, so he kept changing things around. This is what we've seen with Yomi and Wit and the Darkness route. This is all, what is happening with him changing things. And we eventually get the outcome that presumably the Dreamer wants. Maybe? I don't know, actually. That might be too presumptuous to say at the moment. So, this is very interesting to me because... Okay, so we finished this route. Presumably, we've reached the end. We are now out of the loop. The loop has ended. The goal, I guess, of the dream has occurred. The monster has awoken. And now the sheep is using its power to loop us back to a point in time where we're still in the loop. And the sheep says that they can only do it once, because having done it once, the dreamer will be aware that it has happened, but it happening only once, the dreamer will see it only as a kind of glitch or a freak occurrence. The sheep claims that if he does it more than once, then the dreamer will notice, find the sheep, and capture him, or something like that. So, where do I go from here? Yes, okay, I almost lost it. So, the fact that the dreamer is unaware of... The dreamer himself or herself seems to be unaware of the looping. That's what's really crazy to me. Does that make sense to everyone? Because it seems like the sheep... Because the sheep causing the loop back to the loop, the dreamer will notice that, but... or maybe that's too far of an assumption to make. Okay, maybe that's a bit too much of an assumption to make. But I think I want to raise that as a possibility, that the dreamer is not aware of the dream looping. Because you would think, if the dreamer was aware of the looping, then they would be making changes in order to get the result they want. Like, Haruaki is the one that is able to retain memories due to the sheep's help. So you'd think, if there's a result that the dreamer wants, the dreamer remembered everything, the dreamer would change things. But if the dream was just looping endlessly, then I think that shows that the dreamer is not aware of the loop. Something like that. And yet, if the dreamer would detect the sheep, the dreamer would capture them or something, or stop them, or kill them. Who knows what the rules are here? I don't know. Something to consider, I think. Okay. So, having said that, who in the world is the dreamer? Who is the dreamer? Who do we want to say? I have 3 candidates right now. Well, let's do 4. 4 candidates. I'm going to say my 4 candidates are Rikako, Meiko, Haru, Chiemi. Those are my 4 right now. Haru sticks... I mean, all 4 of these girls stick out in their own way. Rikako, she had been apologizing to us many times throughout the game. That was always a strange thing. And she told us directly that she has this premonition that we're somehow able to affect change in a kind of relating to destiny or fate or something like that. So, there's that. Plus, Rikako had healing powers. So there's definitely something supernatural going on with Rokako. And there's Mako, who's the mystery girl who just showed up and no one knows anything about, and I really want to believe there's something weird going on with her. Then there's Haru, who has served as the vessel to this supernatural god being. And then finally there's Chiemi, who has... Chiemi seems to... Now that we know that the god is definitely a thing, the fact that Chiemi has spoken about the god and seemed to have displayed some behavior of looping, I think also puts her in the ring as a candidate. So all four of them seem to be equally suspicious to me right now. Okay, so I think that's... How long has it been? Sorry, I need to check. Okay, I've talked a lot, so I think it's time to move on a bit. But just a couple miscellaneous things before moving on. The sheep mentioned a couple things that I think are interesting. One, the sheep mentioned dream wielders, and that the dreamer can sense other dream wielders. So, you know, that's some terminology for us. And one more thing. There was a moment where the sheep claimed that they couldn't do anything and that they don't, quote, even know that brat, unquote. And I don't know who the sheep is referring to when the sheep said brat. Is it Mako? That was Mako was near us at the end there. So I'm not sure what that statement's about. Okay, I think that's pretty much all I wanted to cover before moving on. Basically, so much stuff got dropped on us, and it's widened the scope of this whole scenario, and it's exciting as well as confusing. Anyway, yeah. So if you've decided to stay with me throughout this pre-episode or pre-gameplay discussion, thank you. And I really want to hear your thoughts because there's a lot to cover. Obviously, if you've played the game already, you can't really contribute in that way. But if you haven't, I'd love to hear your theories or I mean, if you've played the game, it's not like you can't say anything. You could say how you reacted and give your thoughts on how you felt about what was going on the first time you played. So yeah, let's I've actually forgotten what I need to do now. Oh, I probably made a save file. Okay, give me one moment and we'll get to where I was before. Okay, I forgot. We actually left off at the hint corner. So let's hear from Mr. Sheep one more time and see what he has to say.
Yo, 大将。いやー、お疲れお疲れ。文字通り、ダークを極めたメインルート、暗黒も、めでたく終了だ。狼側でも勝利し、めでてえな。
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
まあ、ちょっと国が滅びかけたけど。
Yeah, so even though this is supposedly a dream, it still seems that it is certainly something that can affect the wider world in reality.
ああ、そうだ。ようやく本編で俺が登場したんだった。今までもアイキャッチで出てたが、本編でも改めてよろしくな。さて、ヒントを見る前に、一つ断言してやるぜ、大将。ここがどん底だ。
Rock bottom, huh? Well, You know what they say. When you hit rock bottom, there's nowhere to go but up.
ここからケムコのノベルシリーズ史上最悪の歪曲系主人公久石春明の運命に対する反撃が始まる。
Well, I for one I'm here for it, man. Yeah.
ここまで3つの地獄といくつもの死を見てきた大将、最後までどうか俺と奴に力を貸してくれ。
Well, if you insist.
今回のバットじゃないエンド3、題して新しい朝が来たについてだが、久石春明と共に大将は最善を尽くした。そしてここもまた必ず通るべき道だ。火は一切ねえから安心してくれ。
Mm-hmm.
今回手に入ったのはキー20。番号順で言えば最後の鍵だが、まだ番号には穴がある。これも当然だ。安心しろ。大将はこれから5つのキーを探さなきゃならねえ。最後の扉を開くための最後の鍵だ。これらは全部大将がこれまで見てきた物語のどこかに隠されてる。シナリオチャートとにらめっこしつつ物語の流れを思い出しながらじっくり探してみるってのもオツだろうが、せっかちな大将のためにまずは2ノームの9彼女の目的はに戻ってみることを勧めるぜ。
To dense mist, cue her objective.
そう、あの最序盤芹沢千恵美との酒盛りでうすらバカな謎かけをしただろ。あそこの鍵がキー20で開く。
Yes, there was that. Yeah. Wow. Okay.
ここまで真実を見てきた久石春明が芹沢千恵美にどんな回答をするのか、これも要注目だな。他にも開けられるキーはあるが混乱しねえようにここではまず一つだけ伝えておくぜ。横着な大将は次の場所でまたヒントを伝えるからその順にクリアすればいいって寸法だ。おかしいな、こんなに手厚くヒントをくれてやるつもりなんざなかったのに。物語の転換点に立って俺も柄になく興奮しちまってるのかもしれねえ。つうわけで今回はここまで。次も元気に死んでこい。
All right. Oh, I'm excited now. I'm more excited now. Okay, this I'm excited and nervous. Okay, so
これって単なるバカ話じゃないの？
okay, the reason why I'm nervous now is because if you'll recall, we have not seen or talked to Chiemi in a long time. And the last time we did, she sort of, kind of shot herself in the head. So, she's still a pretty huge mystery to me and a bit intimidating, if I can be perfectly honest with you. So I'm as excited as I am nervous.
正解者には素敵なプレゼント。不正解者はブッシュブッシュ殺します。
Seriously. You're desperate. You needed an alibi. You're a thirsty perv. And you'd feel guilty if you let me die. It's all of them. All of them. At that moment, my head was flooded with information. It felt like my mind was crushed by a million sheep. Why'd I forget? Did my memories carry over in a weird way because of the method from back then was weird? Well, then again, this wouldn't be the first time my memories didn't carry over properly. Maybe I should have counted myself lucky for remembering it at all. I had tons of things to think about. About the beast in the village, the giant monster, the dream enveloping Fujiyoshi, as well as the looping the sheep had told me about. But this wasn't the time to worry about that.
春明さんはどうしたのかな?
This girl. One time she, fearful of God, faced the wolves with me, and eventually met an awful end in Saranaga. Another time, she was a cold-blooded wolf that silenced one of her own, then when cornered, tried to kill everyone. And last time, she interfered with us wolves by, for whatever reason, killing herself on the first day of the feast. Her smile that night had been burned into my mind, continuing to torment me. Chiemi Sarazawa. Hold on. I knew the reason why she'd done that. It was simple. She'd been dropping hints ever since the very start. Oh crap. Should I make a guess? Should I know this? I mean, there's the Looper theory, there's the she's an actual psychopath theory. If you don't want to say psychopath, you could say she's just, you could take her at her word that she hated the village and everyone in it, and so she's just gone insane in that way. But how does that explain the time when in darkness when she killed herself? I'm not sure. Okay, Haruaki, tell me. They were more like slips of the tongue. Small and almost impossible to notice.
おーい、気分悪くなったですか? こういうの嫌いだった? あはは、ごめん。ちょっと浮かれちゃったかな。
全部だ。
え？
君が今挙げた選択肢は全部正解だ。確かに藤吉村には狼がいた。確かに君は殺人鬼だったし、これは確かじゃないが、多分君はついさっき皿長で散弾銃の重心を切り詰めようとしてたんだ。殺人の準備は後ろぐらいことだ。だからアリバイは欲しかった。
え？なんて。
君は巻き戻りの記憶を保持している。
Oh, man. Oh, really? Jimmy Looper theory is right?
急いだ方がいいよ。ちえみさんの気が変わらないうちにね。
いや、だってあれが根性の別れになるかもしれなかったし、それならせめて色良い返事をしとこうかなとか。
Here's the thing, okay? Let me add an addendum to the Chiemi Looper theory. What if she retains all the knowledge of the loops that occurred before Haruaki entered the dream? What if it's something like that?
おかしいんだ。君はどうせ死ぬならとツーリングの誘いを受けたと言ったが、誘った時に霧は出てなかったんだから。あの後霧が出ることを君は知ってたことになる。
She'd lost track about what she was supposed to know and not know. It happened to me too.
春明さんって絶対女のトラブルで逃げてきたんでしょ。
僕が彼女に振られてこっちに来たことを見破られたのは単に君が鋭いだけかと思ってた。
Yeah, we were having this similar conversation about Haru too. Yeah.
しかし君が巻き戻りの記憶を保っているなら、僕が前の時に振られ話をしたことも知ってて当然だ。
一緒に遊んでよ、手を握ってよ、タンデムでずっと遠くまで連れてってよ、布団の中で一日中ギュッてしててよ。
極めつけはあれだ。狼の君が夜にやってきて思いを語ってくれた時、あの時僕はバイク旅行者じゃなく上富士吉経由で来た自殺志願者だった。タンデムがどうのって発想はどこから来たのって話になる。
Okay, maybe not then. Maybe not. No. Yeah. If I go back here. No, okay. So it can't be. It can't be from. She doesn't have. I was thinking of it something like she was a looper this whole time, and then Haruaki entered, and then he became the looper, and she didn't. But no, if she's getting knowledge from loops with him, and that would mean, multiple loops happen with him there, then no, she can't have stopped looping once Haruaki arrived. So no, that can't be the case. Gotcha. All right.
君は本当に異常なのは読み意味の宴じゃなくて巻き戻りなんだって理解している。
So this is crazy. So we have two independent loopers occurring at the same time. That raises so many questions. For one, how does that even work? On the okay, there are so many questions, but all of them can be wrapped up in how does that even work? And then the second question is, how does she remember the looping? Unless the sheep is also her benefactor. Okay, let's find out.
そうじゃなきゃ説明が。
She suddenly screamed. In her hand, she held a familiar hunting knife. It didn't work. Dropping it all on her so suddenly was too much for her to handle. Though regret dulled my mind, my vision sharpened, and I slowly saw her charge at me. I might have been used to death by now, but I didn't want it to be slow and painful. I used the time I was given just to close my eyes. An impact. I collapsed on my back. A sharp pain assaulted me. At least, I thought it was going to. But it didn't. There was just a warm weight against my body. I slowly opened my eyes. Her face was brimming with an intense emotion. As her eyes filled with tears, the hand with the knife went limp. The blade fell free.
嘘だ。私だけじゃなかったって。そんなのどうせ夢かなんかだ。そんでぬか喜びして目覚めたらまた宴が始まるんだ。そうだよね。ぬか喜びで窓挟 ないでよ。しかも春明さんの顔でさ。
嘘とか夢じゃない。いや、正確に言えばいずれ夢になるとしてもこの瞬間は夢じゃない。そして夢でやり合った記憶を共有できる以上、僕と君との間のやりとりはいつまでも絶対に夢じゃない。
春明さん、もう完全に非武装だしさ、首絞めたりもしないしさ、何にもしないから、すがっていいかな。
ああ、
春明さん。
She clung to my chest and wailed. Emotion, tears, none of it was restrained.
怖かった、怖かったよ。寂しかったし、私だけずっと踊り続けて、いっぱいみんな殺して、みんなの死ぬとことか罵る言葉とか、そればっかりどんどん膨れてって。
何度巻き戻ったの
100回超えてからは数えてないよ。
My goodness.
辛かったね。
辛かった。
As I embraced her, crying without end, I felt something myself as well. This was a hell from which not even death could save you. Wandering through it all alone, one couldn't help feeling frail and helpless. I'd spent most of my time here chasing after the mystery behind it all. As long as I still had ideas to try, the mystery was both my greatest fear and fascination. But what if I ran out of ideas? What if I tried everything I could think of, only to discover there was no escape from this loop, and that I was a prisoner for eternity? My worst fear was a mystery without an answer. As one faced with that very possibility, I could really relate to her. The alcohol must have made her more emotional too. She was crying unceasingly, and as someone who cared about appearances, I had to hold back from getting emotional myself. It took her almost an hour to calm down. She began talking. I wouldn't have minded if she just went to sleep, but the joy and excitement from finally finding someone who shared her experience probably wouldn't have let her. It was time to check some answers.
さっきのよくわかったね。確かにさっきバレルを切ってた。
この流れのまま僕が部外者として宴が進行していった時、君は銃を持ち出さなかったでしょ。あれは僕が邪魔をして作業が中断して、君は銃を皿長に置きっぱなしにしたんじゃないかって。
So that was why she was near the river. That was one question we've had since the beginning. What was she doing there? Why did she have the flashlight? Why was she there? Yeah.
なんだよ、もう。やっぱ探偵か何かか、春明さんは。
探偵だったらこんな予想や憶測ばっかで喋っちゃダメさ。ありゃ証拠商売だ。だから僕も聞かなきゃわからない。次の答え合わせ、君は殺人鬼なのか？
違うよ。今回はまだ。 少なくとも休みずに帰省するまでに人は殺してないよ。
でも銃を2丁も持って帰ってきたんだよね。
それは純粋に肝臓じいちゃんの狩りに付き合いたかったから。最初はね。
She continued to talk. It was May of her... Hang on. Okay, I'm at 45 or 56 minutes at this point. 46. This seems like it'll be quite a bit, and I spent a lot of time in the beginning going over arguments. Or going over theories. What do I do? What do I do? I don't know how long this is gonna be. What time is it? Okay, let's do more. Let's do more. It was May of her third It was May of her third year in college. Time to go job hunting. The job market in the state it was, most of the leads she found on work sounded more like horror stories. Some couldn't find a job despite checking 100 places. Some went straight to exploitative businesses. Some had all the credit in the world, yet ended up working at the docks or something. Chami had no particular profession in mind, nor did she find any ideas at her seminars, so she was at a loss. Her situation was made even worse when her boyfriend left her.
は？じゃあ僕と同じようなもんじゃないか。
うるさいな。
I think that was a question someone had about whether Haruaki dumped the girl or if the girl dumped him. If we take him at his word here, then it would seem to be that his girlfriend left him. At least, again, if you take him at his word.
なんで別れたの？その芹沢千恵美史上2人目の彼氏と。
細かいとこ覚えてるし。なんか、猟銃持ってる女子とか引くって。
That's quite a thing to say. That might have been weird from a normal man's perspective, but personally, that just intrigued me.
付き合った期間は？
ゴールデンウィーク頭に付き合い出して終わった直後くらいに別れた。
かわいそ
う。Yeah.
やっぱ殺そっかな。
Anyway, the failed relationships and the life in the city in general was starting to get to her, so she started to consider moving back here after graduation. Back to Fujiyoshi, a place she supposedly hated.
嫌なことは、しばらく離れてる間は忘れてたから。
She used job hunting as a pretext to take a short vacation, and she returned here 2 days ago, on Friday. She figured that refreshing her mind and body here would help her with the job search. The locals neither celebrated nor disliked the fact that she had come back. They just gave her a normal welcome. They hadn't changed. She, however, had.
昔は5時に起きて勉強してたんだけどさ、大学でぐうたら生活にすっかり慣れて、みんなと生活リズム合わなくなってて。
Yeah, I feel you there.
MD のアダプタ忘れてさ、借りようにも誰も持ってなくて、ああ、田舎って不便だよなとか。お菓子買おうにもコンビニどころか店もないし、みんな質素にしてるからお酒飲むのも気が引けちゃうし。なんか期待してたんだろうね。やっぱ自分の居場所はここだったんだみたいなキュッピーンってくるのを。ないよね。半分捨てたような故郷に自分の都合でそんなん求めたって。なんかやっぱここも居場所じゃないんだなって思いながら寝て起きたのが5月10日、昨日の朝。最初はそこに戻ってきてたんだ。
Okay, this is very, very important to listen to. We need to understand whether her looping is the same as ours or not. Because hearing her speak, remember, Haruaki's looping is imperfect, or at least it has been before now. The sheep was aiding us in getting our memories back, but before now, it's just been specific pieces of information that we've been getting, not the entire loop. So, is she the same, or does she get everything? That's my question right now. That was unexpected. I asked and found out something more. The point to which she'd looped back to had changed twice so far. The first time was the morning of May 10th. This return point stayed consistent for 57 times.
もちろん最初はただの日常として流したよ。そのままだらだら2日間過ごして、その後霧が出て。私、初日にくくられたんだ。外から汚れを持ってきたって言われてさ。ひどいと思わない？
Ooh, this indicates to me is Haruaki's not here yet? The journalist must have died from corruption, right? So she would be the only outsider, quote unquote. Ooh, so Haruaki's not here yet. So there was a specific moment when Haruaki arrived. That's crazy.
最初の息が止まる感覚だけは今でも覚えてる。その後いきなり巻き戻って、最初はめちゃめちゃ長い悪夢だって思ったんだよね。
That's fair enough.
でも同じように霧が出て、その後何度巻き戻って試しても何を言おうが行おうが4日目より後には行けなかった。
She said she can even remember how her breast slept. So she's remembering everything, right?
へこんだよ。私はどうやってもそのくらいしか大事じゃないんだって。ごめん、わかってるよ。そんな簡単なもんじゃないってさ。でも、57回死んだ頃には、もうそういうもんだって思うようになってた。まあ、実際みんなにとってはそれで問題はなかったんだけどさ。何せ、私が狼だったし。
The wolves back then were Chiemi and Tai Yamawaki-san. With Chiemi being easy to suspect and Tai-san not handling herself well, they just couldn't win the fight. Of course. It's the same people every time. So the rules are the same. Did she never think to try and get the journalists involved? Huh. Still, they'd successfully brutalized a few people before both of them got hanged. Wow, imagine being a wolf over and over again. That's crazy. In the end, Chiemi took the initiative and committed murders with her own two hands. It hadn't taken long for her to try and just kill everyone while breaking the rules. Her trial and error became a matter of just who'd I kill and how.
その後、変化があった。メイコちゃんが迷い込んできたの。
Wow. Okay. Didn't expect this. Okay, remember from our chat from the beginning, Meiko and Chiemi are part of my suspect list for the Dreamer. But I'd say Chiemi and Meiko, knowing this now, they're getting lower on my suspect list, I think. It happened a day after the first restart point. It was already 2 a.m. now, so that would be the morning of yesterday, May 11th. The boring, meaningless day suddenly became a big deal. The reason for that was the lost girl who'd wandered in from upstream Saranaga. Takumi-san had told me that it wasn't uncommon for Saranaga to bring corpses, but this was the first time it brought a living human. Not just any living human. A lost girl of unknown origins. According to Chiemi, if there was some trouble in Yasumizu, they couldn't just call someone to inform them about it. Instead, there was an unspoken agreement that they would just bring it up while chatting with the driver of the truck that brought food and supplies here once a week. They'd mentioned the lost girl, and since the driver was in touch with the Higuchis, the village heads would know about it too. If something was done about the problem before they were told about it, that was great. But if it wasn't, it meant that Kama Fujiyoshi didn't plan to get involved. They had tried to get help by phone once, but that got the truck driver to just not bring the supplies for a week, which was pretty messed up. I think messed up is a bit downplaying that. Haruaki, my goodness. The next supply run would be Thursday, some time away, so they didn't know what to do with the little girl. Tai-san screeched about chasing her out, but in the end, Rokago-san agreed to take her in. The problem was solved. For anyone but Chami, anyway.
58回目にしていきなり現れた登場人物だったからね。なんだろうって思ったよ。繰り返し続ける夢に変化が生まれた。もしかしたら希望が見えたのかもって。やがて始まった宴では、加護の振り分けも大きく変わってた。匠兄ちゃんが蛇で、最初に明かそうとする流れが一緒だから、多分、春明さんが知ってる流れと一緒。
Oh. So, basically, the timeline where I was alive but didn't participate was similar to the one where I just wasn't there at all. Still, she was human in the new timeline, and that change gave her hope, so she started experimenting again. It didn't take long for her to despair again.
匠兄ちゃんは大体早死にしたし、私は大体早めにくくられるか、狼にやられることになった。一度だけおかしくなった香織さんが料理に毒を入れて、たまたま狼が死んで勝ったけど。
No kidding.
勝って休みずを出て、帰る深夜バスが霧に巻かれて、あんま覚えてないけど、多分事故ってそのまま後戻り。戻り先は日曜の朝。メイコちゃんが迷ってくるところが新たなルーチンになっただけ。結局、糸口も見えなかった。
The morning of May 11th. It was the restarting point that she'd went back to more often than any other. Overcome by despair, started trying to challenge the feast's rules. She tried escaping the mist, surviving the corruption after killing more than one a day, etc. After dozens of tries, she'd concluded there was no way to escape these laws. By that point, she'd killed each of the locals dozens of times.
もうさ、みんなの顔見るたびに、あの時どんな死体になったとか、あの時どんな断末魔だったとか。
Yeah, definitely hell is a good descriptor here, I think. Yeah.
そんな映像がバンバン脳内に出てくるようになっちゃって。別に苦しかったわけじゃない。むしろ平気すぎた。むしろそれが現実なんじゃないかって思うようになってた。もうとっくにみんな死んでて読み人なんだって。狼の時に聞いた話が本当なんだって。そこからは投げやりプレイだったな。宴が始まった直後に全員を撃ち殺してみるとか、そういう絶対にクリアには繋がりそうにないことを試したり。ま、ダメだったね。どんなに頑張ってもくくられるか殺されるか、霧に巻かれてどうにかなって死ぬ。そうなるともう死に飽きちゃってさ。死ぬのはもちろん苦しいけど退屈で。退屈しのぎって言ったら、もうどんな新しい殺し方や死に方ができるかってことくらいになっちゃって。
I mean, This isn't surprising to hear, but that doesn't make it good to hear. The many impossible deaths happening on repeat had warped her heart and mind.
そんなわけで、私はもう立派な殺人鬼だよ。
That wasn't a thing to say with such a smile.
春明さん、みたいにはならないで。
I finally realized what that meant.
私みたいにはならないで。 君は、そう言いたかったんだな。
うん。
It was a well-placed warning indeed. Unfortunately, back then, I not only missed it, but went on to become the absolute worst murderer I could think of.
春明さんが来たのは、メイコちゃんに次いで2度目の変化だった。振り出しも12時間くらい進んだし。
The night of May 11th, the day right before the feast, as well as the day I got lost on my bike ride and Chiemi went out to prepare to kill. That was the newest starting point, and the one she and I actually shared.
初めは何の期待もしてなかった。面白い人来たけど、かわいそうに。間宮さんたちみたいに死ぬだけだって。
So she probably did, at times, rescue Mami or Hashimoto just to see what would happen.
けど、なぜか春明さんが来てから変化が加速した。
So how is it... So she's won as the humans. Did she ever win as a wolf? I don't think she said that. Because that's one of the questions, right? That we talked about at the beginning of this episode. What caused the monster to awake? Was it just the wolves winning, or was it something else that Haruaki did specifically that caused that to happen?
ずっと死ぬばかりだった間宮さんが生き残ったり、それでまた私が狼になったり。それに、その。
Wait, what? Hang on. Mamiya-san survived for once? So... You... Am I to take that as meaning you never saved them once? In all the times you've looped? That seems kind of odd. Okay.
何？
なんでもない。とにかく、そうこうしてたら橋本さんが生き残って、また配役が変わった。はるちゃんが狼の格好して工事現場に行くので大体わかった。
Oh yeah. Since the wolves did their jobs when everyone was sheltering, anyone who stayed outside and watched would quickly know who they were.
春明さんはそれまでずっと人だったけど、狼になったら私みたいに狂っちゃうかもだから。
So is it something like I'm trying to understand how the whole looping phenomenon works. So is it something like, let's go to Darkness real quick. She killed herself, and then I don't know how to put this. Was she in a kind of like waiting room or something? Her mind or spirit, however you want to describe it. And then basically was stuck there until, you know, unconscious essentially, until Haruaki died. And then we looped back again. And then she would loop? Okay, but here's where I get tripped up a bit. So in Darkness, she kills herself, right? But we play through the dark, you know, because there are multiple bad ends, and there's... Remember here, look at here. This is an instance where we had to get 2 bad ends in order to advance. We had to. It's canon that we got those bad ends. The keys are there. That means we would have gone through this whole loop right here at least 3 times. Just at that point there. Oh wait, no, this doesn't work because... Never mind, forget I said that. Because this is, she kills herself after that, so... Never mind. Well, no, I think you could use this as an example. Wouldn't she... Okay, here's where it gets confusing. So, like, on both of these instances, Haruaki dies, right? But Chiemi is still alive. So does she have memories of loops where Haruaki dies early? Like, if it continued on to here, it's just without Haruaki? Things are becoming real complicated. The fact that we have 2 independent loopers. I'm not sure how to take this. Let's keep going.
だからあんなこと言ったんだ。
Because she remembers this specific thing that she did. I didn't really want to remember that. Once I'd become a wolf, I'd intended not to be bound by Yasumizu's rules, but in the end, I'd become an utter madman. And to make it worse, I ended up dancing on the palm of God's hand. Shemi's words might have become a subconscious brake for the madness racing within me. Does Shemi know about the god? I mean, we know she's talked about the god before, but I mean the god, the one in Haru. Does she know that? That was why her face came to mind whenever I was partaking in something really messed up. Anyway, this reminded me of another mystery.
待ってくれ。あの時どうして君は外に出てられたんだ？
単純に寮の2階で張りながら上がってくるワンコを全部撃ち殺してただけ。
Really?
は？そんなやり方で夜は攻略できるの？銃があれば最強って？
Huh.
いや、ただの時間稼ぎだよ。
Interesting that we didn't hear any shots on the way there.
そうやってるとそのうち本物が出てくるから。
I beg your pardon. The real deal, you say?
本物？
狼の頭と人間の体の。
Uh-huh. Yeah, that thing.
あれは人間のはずだ。狼が着る狼装束と同じ感じの。
That was a theory I had at one point, Haruaki.
あの人狼、人狼は新内さんの手下で狼様の使いかなんかだと思う。狼やったならあったでしょ、首吊り松の墓所でさ。あれが新内さんで、実際に罰を下す怪物が人狼。あいつらは、人狼はいっぱいいる。
Shinai was Okami. Great Lord Shinai and Okami-sama were the same thing. Mamiya-san had said that too. Hey, hang on. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we did get that, that whole speech regarding this, didn't we? Shinai-san is Okami. Oops. 3 creatures who came to you in a dream. Besides them, there were a lot of monsters who carried out their will. God had implied that the dogs, the bringers of corruption, were the servants of the badger, Mujina-sama. Using those werewolves as underlings might have been the power of Great Lord Shinai as Okami-sama.
あの汚れの運び手をしのいでも、そいつが出てきて確実に殺されると。
Chami nodded. It didn't look like I could go anywhere from here, so I would just leave it at that.
話を戻すけど、じゃあどうして外で狼を待とうなんて思ったのさ。
もうやめようと思ってさ。
え？
私、宴ではずっと一人ぼっちだったけど、ある人には何度も助けられてるんだ。
僕だな。
どっちかっていうといろいろかき乱されて、いやぶっちゃけ春明さん絡みは死んでばっかだしな。
ごめん。
気にしないでいいよ。私も何回か春明さん殺してるし。
そうか。じゃあ気にしない。
春明さん、大概切り替え早いよね。さっきも別に落ち込んでなかったでしょ。
君が気にしてたら僕も気にするさ。ともかく、じゃあ誰さ、ある人って。
リカ子さんだよ。植松リカ子さん。
Interesting.
彼女に？
あの人は本当に心の底から富士吉村の人間なんだけど、富士吉村で一番いい人だよ、きっと。迷信に忠実で保守的で、でも奥ゆかしくて献身的で。 そしてよそ者や私みたいな外れ者とも対等に接してくれる。嫌悪せずに受け入れてくれる。
The bedroom woman servant who took in anything, huh?
藤吉の古き良きものなんてのがあったら、多分彼女がそれ。過去のいいところだけ寄せ集めたようなっていうか。春明さんも惚れたでしょ？
いや、そんなことは。
Be careful with what you say.
嘘ばっかり。ま、魅力的なのはわかるけどね。でも彼女は藤吉村じゃいぶんし。
上藤吉でも？
ええ。植松家は落ち目だったし、昔からちょっと特殊な家だってことはみんな知ってるわけでさ。
Oh,
見た目だって美人だけど変わってるし、性格も一見とっつきにくいからね。野里のボンクラくらいよ、彼女のファン。
Chammy grinned cruelly. She was pretty hard on him, huh?
なるほど。で、彼女の恩って？
いろいろだよ。宴の時にかばってくれたり、誰かが暴れて殺されそうになった時に盾になってくれたり、汚れを引き取ってくれたりね。
どういうこと？
覚えてるかな？このままの流れでそのうち安水のおじいちゃんとモッチーが殺されるの。
You've got a good memory, Chammy. I mean, I do remember this, but I mean, for her, it's been, how many hundred?
それで次の日、彼女は読み人になる。
Yes.
ああ、覚えてる。あれの真相を君は知ってるのか？
モッチーを殺したのはおじいちゃん。
Oh.
おじいちゃんを殺したのはちえみだよ。
There we go. Huh?
君が殺したってのは今更驚かないとして、狼じじい氏がモッチーを殺したって？
Was he the badger or something?
腹立つ。私も驚いたんだよ。二人が帰ってこないから手分けして探してたら、もうモッチーはやられてて。おじいちゃんは笑いながら私にも襲ってこようとした。だから反射的に。
時間が欲しい。
彼は投票で負けた場合、最初から逃げる気だったんだな。人を殺してでも。
うん。肝臓じいちゃんはそうなることを恐れてたのかも。だからじいちゃんが生きてる流れじゃ問答無用でくくってる。
しかし妙だな。宴の一人以外を殺すにしても、ここから逃げるにしても、死ぬことは免れない。
そうだね。私が誰より知ってるよ。
彼はどうやって死を回避するつもりだったんだろう。何も考えてなかったのかな。
私はだからボケててそこまで気が回らなかったんだと思うけどな。
Mm.
その可能性もあるのか。
Honestly, I couldn't help but feel like he'd chosen to kill out of malice. I really had to find a way to get him some information out of him.
いや、それより何よりだ。君が狼じじいをブッシュブッシュ殺したなら、どうして君は死なずに済んだ？
だから言ったじゃん。リカ子さんが汚れを引き取ったって。
She just does that, huh?
は？それって、宴のペナルティを自分に移し替えたって意味か？
うん。あの時、おじいちゃんをブッシュブッシュ殺した後で、ああ、やっちゃった。今回もダメかって思ってたら、霧の中からリカ子さんが出てきてね。こっち見てびっくりしてたけど、あなたは死にません。あなたの罪も、汚れも、私が引き取ります。
It's a good impression, Chammy.
似てる。
でしょ？ こんなノリでいいのこの話。
Hey, if we can't talk about this casually, I don't even know how we should be talking about this at this point. The sullen mood had vanished, and we were now talking about this stuff over a few beers.
いいんじゃないの？僕らはまだこの時は人殺しじゃない。過去のことまで気に病んでたら速攻気が狂うよ。
ちえみが死ぬほど悩んだことをめっささらっと片付けたね。まあオッケー、軽妙に行こう。とにかくその時はリカ子さんがかばってくれたから、私は服を買いに戻って、そこで春明さんと話したよね。
誰だ？
あ、春明さん。
また知恵み落ちか。
何それ。悪いけど今じっとしてて、ひょっとしたらヤバいかも。
ちょっと開けてよ。ああ、あの時の。君はあの時血まみれの服を交換してたのか。
そうそう、あの私服お気になんで替えはあるしね。
Now that she mentioned it, I did feel like she'd said that.
ともあれ、君は確かに一日に一人の掟には反していた。
うん、私の経験じゃ例外なく、その日犯したルール違反はその夜に汚れとして与えられてきた。その流れ以外ではね。
しかしその時だけはリカ子さんが引き取ると言った通り、最悪は彼女に降りかかったということか。
And it made her a zombie.
しかしそうなると彼女は例のぐちゃぐちゃになって死ぬ形になるんじゃないのか。
あれは黄泉の汚れだよ。
黄泉の汚れ？
最強の最悪の汚れ。触れれば読み人になってしまう。
Shemi was now acting afraid of something.
君がリカ子さんに恩義を感じて宴を放棄した経緯は分かった。君のこれまでのいきさつもね。
So there are levels to corruption. Interesting.
今から本質的なことを聞きたい。君にとって嫌かもしれないことを聞くが、すべての確信に迫るためには必須の情報だ。どうか協力してくれないか。もちろん、君が我慢できなくなるような話になったら、やめてくれていい。
Is he gonna ask about God? Shemi lightly nodded.
君は何か、超常的なものに対して、他の住人とも違う、特別な思い入れを持ってるね。その一つが汚れ、もう一つが神様だ。どっちも教えてくれ。
春明さんはさ、死んでも記憶がある。だから嫌だよ。これから先ずっと嫌われる、気持ち悪がられるのは、ようやく見つかった理解者なのに。
大丈夫。君が殺人鬼だってのを聞いても僕は別に引かなかっただろう。
でも
大丈夫。
絶対に嫌わない。
約束する。
After a few seconds of hesitation, she finally gathered her resolve. She then put her hand inside her collar and took something out. A metallic trinket on a metal chain, showing 3 symbols. A whirl and a diamond. It was the sign of the Yamatsu Okami. I remembered the time I picked it up in Saranaga after I won against Chiemi as the snake. So it belonged to her, huh?
これは。見ないで。芹沢様、申し訳ありません。その汚れは私にも引き取れない。
It came back to me. Rokako-san had discovered something pendant-like that Chiemi was wearing. After that, Chiemi went nuts and ran off into the mist. That meant that, What I'd found in Saranaga on the other timeline had been dropped by her after she jumped off the cliff. And I finally realized another thing. Here, the talisman with the sign of the Yamatsu Okami, Yomi itself, was the worst of omens, and actually wearing it couldn't have been a good thing. It could only represent the worst, most fearful and maddening of things.
これは私が小さい頃から肌身離さずつけていたもの。
Well, that's something.
もうこの意味は知ってるよね。渦と爪、汚れた狩り場の主を意味するヨモツオオカミのお印。
君がなぜそれを？
What is it gonna be something like, oh, there's a family for each guardian, and it turns out there was another family for the wolves, and it was the Sarazawa family. Is that what it's gonna be?
私が汚れているから。
No, okay, it's something else.
私の元の名前は
Your old name?
身車千恵美って言うんだ。
No way! Oh, yeah. Okay. For so long, I was waiting. I was waiting for Miguruma to show up somewhere. I was like, where's the Miguruma? Why haven't we seen a Miguruma? Oh. We had one all along. There we go. Man, we're taking mysteries off the list left and right now. Okay. Miguruma. The Tower Lookouts. The top of the four-head families in Kama Fujiyoshi. The Snake.
身車千恵美は蛇の息女だった。兄弟はいない。だから養子を迎えて当主の奥方様になる予定だった。5つになったあの時まで。
Chimi's eyes turned dry and empty.
あの日、私はいたずら心で三の蔵の地下の扉を開けた。決して入っちゃいけないと言われたこのお印が刻まれた鉄の扉を。そして
落ち着くんだ、千恵美ちゃん。君が見たのは犬だな。
She came back to her senses and light returned to her eyes. I knew it. I could see part of the conspiracy.
噛まれたんだな、犬に。
As it became harder for her to speak, she pulled up her sleeves and showed me her wrists. There were old but clearly visible scars on them.
黄泉の汚れはその身に受ければいずれ人を狂わせ殺す。私は身車の者はそれを小さい頃から刷り込まれて育つ。
なぜそんなものを身車が飼ってる？
黄泉の入り口は皿長だけじゃない。黄泉はいろんなところに口を開いている。
That's terrifying.
それを守ってた植松家が役を果たせなくなって。
代わりに身車が？
Chami nodded.
黄泉の汚れを受けた息女なんて身車にはふさわしくない。だからモッチーと同じように私は家から出された。ごめん、だいぶ落ち着いてきた。
無理はしないで。
大丈夫。私は会ったこともない分家に縁組されて休みず送りになった。モッチーと同じパターンだね。
Huh. So they changed surnames because of the disowning. Oribe was probably Kaori-san's maiden name, but yeah, I could see how they worked around this.
身車の息女だったって話はみんな知らなかったみたいだけど、
身車はすごい秘密主義の家でね、子供が生まれたとか誰が死んだとか10年くらい隠すらしい。
人の口にとは。
立てられる、身車なら。だって届け出をする役場の人間とか葬儀場だって全部身車だし。
なるほど。でもなんでそんな秘密主義を？
それは小さい頃に追い出された私にはわからないけど、秘密が力を持つことを知ってるからじゃないかな。
Secrets. Mysteries could mobilize people, huh? Intelligence management was extremely important when keeping a group in line, especially for the Miguruma, who were doing something dangerous.
この首飾りは汚れの証。私が汚れを受け、やがて黄泉のものになることを運命づけるもの。しかしそれまで黄泉の汚れを抑える、御するものだとも言われた。よもつ狼は恐ろしい読み人。それを読み人を滑るものと捉え、私が汚れを受けた読み人が暴れ出すのを抑えてくれるってね。私はそれがとても怖かった。
That was nothing more than her earnest beliefs. That was why I understood just how pure and profound her feelings were. She'd come to know immense despair at an extremely young age.
それで休みずに来てどうなったの？
まあ荒れたよね。自分が汚れて汚れた場所に送られたっていうのは幼いなりに分かってたし、一番の被害者はタエばあちゃんだな。当時は食堂はばあちゃんがやってて、私がご飯拒否しまくってたから。
Oh, so that was why they were still so distant.
芹沢として小学校に入ったけど、ちょうどその頃休みずの学生は私だけだったからきつかったな。いじめられたし、やり返したら口裏合わせられるから私が悪者になるし。その時の先生が分かってくれたから、それでもギリギリ助かったんだけどさ。その先生が転任してからは肩身狭くて、そのうち織部さん家が引っ越してきて、やすくんやはるちゃん、よしくんも入学して、したらほらお姉さんじゃん、頑張らなきゃじゃん。それでちょっとまあちょっと
ボッコボッコにしちゃったか。
ボッコボッコにしちゃったね。ま、すっごい謹慎とか説教とか食らったし、休みずへの風当たりが一時えらいことになったんだけど、おかげで学校でのちょっかいはピタリと止んだと自負しておりますよ。
なるほどね。
So that was why the children here adored her. But she felt kind of awkward around the adults.
それ下の子たちへの義務感と作戦で全部だった？
9割ブチギレただけでした。
Eh, fair enough.
気にしない気にしない。生かす生かす。
ぶっちゃけ荒れてたんで。
でもその根底には常に汚れへの恐怖があった。いつか自分が本当に狂ってしまうという恐怖の裏返し、あるいは自暴自棄だった。
春明さんは何でも知ってるな。
ごめん、分かった風なことを。
いいのいいの。分かろうとしてくれる人もこれまでいなかったわけだしさ。
Shimmy giggled. She could laugh at it now, but probably only because she'd grown up and realized a few things.
外に出ていろいろ調べた？その犬のこととか。
そりゃね。
ということは君はもうそっちは怖くないはずじゃないか。
私が怖いのは神様で、神様が与える汚れだから。それが科学的にどういう病気かとかはあんまり関係ない。
じゃあそれについて話そう。僕は巻き戻りを繰り返す中で 神様に会った。
え？
今は神様というものの意味も大体わかってるつもりだ。それにしても君が恐れている神様というものとはちょっと実像がずれてる気がしてならない。ちえみちゃん、君には神様が目に見えたりしてるんじゃないのか？
みんな神様には合ってるよ。見えていないのかもしれないけど。
狂ってるって思うよね。
それ言ったら死に戻りとか神様そのものがすでに口頭無形だから受け入れるモードに入ってるよ。
柔軟すぎる。あなたはタコか。
Why did everyone like comparing me to weird stuff so much?
そうだね。私にはそれが見える。
Wow, what does it look like?
狼の加護を受けた時の3人組のあれとはまた違うもの？
神様はほとんどの人にくっついているよ。
It's on everyone, okay?
メイコみたいな小さい子にも？
メイコちゃんのはよく見えないな。何かいるけど大きいのが。
How big? Are we talking mountain-sized or what?
安水には神様が3種類いるって聞いたんだけど。
どこの誰から聞いたの？
それは秘密。
You're not gonna tell her?
私は安水の神様は神内様と神様しか知らない。
神内さんは神様だろ？
神内さんは神様だけど、神様は別のものだよ。
はるちゃんについてるのは神様だよな？
うん。
多分理解できた。
本当に？教えてよ。
それはまだもうちょっと後だ。
もったいぶりっ子はいいから。
No. At this point, I was now able to split up and think about the problems I was involved with right now individually. One problem was the prevention of the Feast of the Yomi Purge. Another problem was the prevention of the giant monster's resurrection. And the third problem was the ending of the loop. They were all related, but they'd all needed different solutions. And to fix the first one, the feast, I'd have to use the looping to do something about God. Specifically, the god that had Chiemi, as well as everyone else in Yasumizu, completely imprisoned. Weak, powerless god, my ass. This one was a pain to deal with because they were powerless. I had to be careful about how I dealt with it, as well as Chiemi, God's prisoner.
もう少し秘密だ。
なんで？
秘密が力を持つことを知ってるからさ。
Okay, I just got an autosave, so I think that's all right to call it there. We got an extra length episode today. I had an extra length opening as well, so I think that that covers it. Plus, it was just a huge amount of information, so we're gonna need time to digest all of that. I know. So yeah, just to wrap things up, I'm sure we have a lot to talk about, so if you wanted to either comment on the discussion we had in the beginning, or if you want to comment on the stuff that was revealed by Chiemi just now, feel free, because it's so much. I really liked how so many things got answered for me this time. My wondering about where the Miguruma was, the Chiemi Looper theory, just so many things got answered. That was great. And more mysteries popped up too, like Mako coming in later. And yeah. Oh, if there's anything I'm confused about, I'm confused about a lot. But one thing I'm confused about is maybe the mechanics of having two separate loopers at once. Maybe I'm thinking about it too much. So if you want to give your opinion on something, maybe you could if I'm missing something, please let me know. Because if there's something I can know that'll make it make more sense for me, I would appreciate it. But if I'm thinking about it too much, I think I could accept that. But you know, I'm trying to figure things out. So, you know, if you'd want to contribute to helping me figure it out, I'm totally cool with that. All right, this is what would this be? The answers arc of this game is definitely shaping up to be pretty dang good. All right, I've been the Warm. This has been Raging Loop, and I hope to see you next time. Bye bye.